I just want to say I struggled with condensing all the questions. I know I already sent you that email about it, but I struggled with condensing the questions because I had so many. Just as someone who like is currently going through, I feel like I'm in this sponge zone where I'm kind of like taking in everything with abolition and Afrofuturism and like trying to figure out where I sit with it. And then also like as a former educator,
Right.
like I'm like, I'm really trying to condense everything here. So I apologize if this goes off track, off the rip.
No, it's fine. I don't mind at all. I don't
Okay.
mind at all.
Yeah, because like reading the textbook. Okay, so before I get into that, if you want to tell everybody a little bit about what the textbook is about, because that's where I want to start first.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Sharise Moore, and
Oh,
in
sorry. I'm
no,
like,
no, no, it's fine. You're good.
I'm
You
like,
had to rewind.
a whole conversation. I'm like, I forgot to introduce you. Sorry.
It's
Welcome.
okay.
This is B. Cherise Moore. Like, I am in awe of you. Just writer, mom, curriculum designer, you're the poetry editor at Fire Magazine. Like, you are doing so much of what I've always wanted to do. And just, yes, 1000% yes. But yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, you want to start with the textbook, right?
yes.
All right. So, I've always wanted to do a textbook. Like, I don't want to say always. So, I started out as an educator as well, and I was an educator for 13 years, and I taught grade 6 all the way up to 12, an amalgamation of subjects
Hmm.
from, let's see, drama, English, uh, language arts, which is middle school English. I also taught journalism.
Sorry.
So that's okay.
Right.
And so, moving forward, I just thought about, oh my gosh, I think I want to get a master's degree in curriculum design.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let me mute.
I wanted to do a master's degree in curriculum design, and so during my studies, I picked up all these amazing, skills for curriculum design, and I thought, wow, I want to marry that with, my love of speculative fiction. And at the time, I was admiring the launch of Fire. Fire begins in roughly 2016, 2017. I think that's when you see issue one. And I didn't have the guts yet to like submit anything, but I admired from afar, and I was already a part of the speculative fiction community, so I knew Milton Davis, I knew Troy Wiggins, who was one of the founders of Fire. I kind of knew Devon, who was the current publisher. Um, but I knew him just like from afar. Devon and I are like really, really cool now, but I did not know him that well at the time. And so I'm kind of making my way around the community. And, of course, I was really tight with Milton. At that time, I had submitted some work for him for a few of his anthologies, and I was included in that. And so finally, I get up the guts, to submit a poem to Fire, and it was accepted. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that comes out in 2019. And then, of course, 2020, the world just stops. Things as we know it just shift and change. And so I'm like, okay, this is a time, for me to figure out new things. At the time, I was like querying, getting a bunch of no's. You know how that works in querying, a ton of no's. And so at that time, I was teaching, sixth grade language arts. And of course, school stops in March that year. And so we go fully online. And so I have honestly more time to think. We're all in quarantine pretty much. And so I'm cooped up all day with my computer. and my son and my husband. And I'm just thinking like, wow, this might be a good time to get a life coach. So one of my homies is a life coach, Baron Wright. Baron is awesome. Love him to life still. Known Baron for 20 some years. He's a fellow artist in New Jersey, out of Newark. He's not in Newark anymore, but that's where he's from. And so I reconnected with Baron and I was like, hey, can you help me? And he's like, yeah. So of course, when you sit with a life coach, they ask you, what your goals are, and they work with you on those goals. So I'm like, okay, what are my goals? And one of them was, of course, to get an agent, and the other was to develop a textbook. And I'd already had an outline plan. Like I'm one of those people that I'm absolutely a plotter. Right now, I'm like a plancer. So like I definitely still plot, but I allow myself the freedom to just write as well. Because if I don't, I will never finish anything. So, and now because I've allowed myself that freedom, I finish everything. I've written about maybe 14 or 15 books within the past 4 years. And this is novels and picture books. So, it's a combination of both. But yeah, so he's like, okay, so you want to do this textbook? What do you think you need? And I was like, you know what? I need more connections. So around that same time, this is like April, ironically, Faya is looking for more acquiring editors for speculative poetry. So a little bit of background, like I was a spoken word poet for many, many years. Like I was on the New Jersey Slam team. I performed around the country. I featured at the New Eurekan. I had those CDs and chapbooks, and I did all of that for about many, many years, for over a decade. I started in college at Rutgers, undergrad. And so I'm like, you know what? I love poetry. I've always loved poetry, and I really love speculative poetry, So, and wow, I just had a poem published in Fire. So, and I have, of course, a background in teaching journalism and a little bit of editing here and there, and as an English teacher. So I'm like, okay, let me apply. So I applied and I got the position. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So Fire opens up all these doorways of even more connections with Black speculative writers because everybody on Fire, like we're editors, but we all are writers.
Everyone's a writer, like,
Everyone is a writer.
exactly. Like,
Everyone is a writer. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have this true blue like pipeline to everybody. And so I'm talking again to Barry, my life coach, and I'm like, okay, so as an as an author, as a writer, I don't do anything for free anymore. I feel like I've done the chitlin circuit. I did that years ago, and I am at a ripe old age of I won't tell you, but I'm not doing anything for free. And since I don't do anything for free, I don't think others should. So I was like, let me write down a list of things that I'm going to need to pay people for this project. And that's what I did. And then like I actually went into my old classroom because at the time I was doing more books with Sharise, which is a my YouTube channel where I was reviewing children books by, you know, um, authors of color. And so I just did a video like, hey, I want to do an Indiegogo for this Conjuring Worlds textbook. And this is my plan for the textbook. I wanted to have poetry. I wanted to have nonfiction. I wanted to have, short stories. And I'd like to have all of the things that a textbook includes a glossary. It's got to have extension activities, comprehension questions. It's got to have, you know, um, frameworks and the guidelines and, separated into units and it has to have vocabulary, and it also has to have interviews with people um in the speculative industry, in some way, or the writing industry in some way, shape, or form. And so I literally made the video, made up an itemized number of how much money I needed to raise in order to put this project together. And we did it. We raised the money within, oh my gosh, I think it went live in June of 2020. And we met our goal. I think it was like an $8,000 goal. roughly 8,000 within by July. And it's also how I got my agent.
That is fantastic.
Yep. It's how I got my agent. It was amazing. Like, uh,
It,
what I did was I said, "Okay, people need perks. They need a little, push. If not a push, but they need incentive, for paying their money. So let me look and see if I have some, old short stories that look decent, but I've never submitted them anywhere. And so I did that. I had a short story that I found I thought was great, and I used it as a perk, for anybody who donated more than $25, I think.
mhm.
And what I did was I ran this meticulous campaign because I was like, one thing's for sure, I have to make sure I have a reputation for being responsible with people's money and deadlines and thanking every single person, whether they gave me $1 or excuse me, $1,000. And so that's what I did. And then I'm going through my emails, after every night. Thank you so much. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. And then I finally see this random email like, "Hi, my name is Laurie McLean from Fuse Literary." And so in my brain, I'm like, Fuse Literary, I know that. I know that. I know that particular agency. And then I think back and I'm like, I queried that agency in January and I was rejected.
Oh, snap.
And so Lori's like, "Hey, I think you have a tremendous talent. What do you want to do with your writing career? Because I see you're doing this textbook, which is awesome and I love it, but are you planning on, doing anything?" And I'm like, "Are you? Of course I'm planning on writing." And so, of course, thankfully, I'm so really, really productive. Like,
That's
so I had completed stuff to send her, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I was signed. And it was so funny because she's the partner agent, and one of her junior agents was the one that rejected me. And
yeah.
so we laugh about it all the time, people. So that was a really long answer, girl. I think I went on for 20 minutes. But
No, I mean, one answered a lot of my questions, and now I have even more. But like that's phenomenal. The fact
yep,
that all of this came from just this pivot that you made in your life, and now it's just turned into all
yep,
of your goals coming true.
yes.
That I hope you are celebrating that every single day because that's fantastic.
Thank you so much. It
Yeah.
was amazing. 2020 was an incredible year. It was extremely sad, you
Yeah.
know. I lost a couple family members in 2020, and so a lot happened, but a lot of great things happened as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
pivotal year.
Yeah. Very much so. Like showing everybody what you were talking about. So like this is the front of Conjuring Worlds. And
Mhm.
I do want to ask you about the design, but like I hope I put them in out of order. But like this is how the unit pages look. I can't tell you how much I enjoy the fact that it is color coded. Like there you can tell like there's so much intentionality in how it was put together. And like the boldness of the artwork that's in it is just magnificent.
Thank
Um
you.
I do want to get back because you talked about the extension activities, and
Mhm.
let me tell you, my I was like, this is fantastic. I was
Thank you.
teacher Keisha would have loved this. Like, what I always used to find frustrating is when, thankfully, in the school district I used to teach at, shout out to the school district of Philadelphia, we were able to like um make our own curriculum if it didn't match the needs of our kids, right? And one of the frustrating things I found about some of the texts were that if I needed to if I need to put anything on a different grade level for a kid, scout it was it took a lot, right?
Yes.
And so like seeing this and seeing that like for number two, you already have it tiered. Like
Mhm.
it's easy for the kids and they can make for themselves. I really, really appreciate that so much. And the fact that you have like the multiple intelligences related to the extent like I was giddy reading this. I was like, Dang it, I'm not in a classroom.
Thank you so much.
Like, it's brilliant. Like, and you've already answered the question about like how you got everybody together. That is fantastic because for everyone listening out there, you have some amazing names on this. Like you have Peter Jelly Clark, who is also like a co-founder of Fire. You have
Mhm.
Sharise Do. You have J.L. Farland. Like you're in there several times. Like the list is endless. I'm like, you got all of these powerful writers to come together and do this. Like that wonderful. Like, so I guess do you I know it's on Amazon right now. So do you see it as something that like is just like for homeschooling or for people's personal use? Or do you see it like eventually being used in school districts?
I would love for it to be used in school districts. Before I answer that question, I have to go back and I have to shout out my husband, who is Jay Alperon. He is the mastermind behind the design. He designed the cover. He came up with the color coding, the spacing,
Yeah.
the this tight, the bold phase. He did all of the design decisions, and like I worried that man half to death for the entire 2 years because we worked on it for 2 years. It wasn't released until 2022, and like we worked day and night, and I cannot tell you how hard he worked on it. And of course, he also contributed an essay himself that's paired with Tananari's Dew's because her work is an amazing short story that takes place in 1968 during I don't want to give too much away, but it takes place in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1960, April 1st, 1968. So if you know those dates, then you know. And J. Al-Faran wrote an essay about the history of the Lorraine Motel, which I thought was really, really good. He unearthed some things that I didn't know about the Lorraine at all, and it was just a great companion piece. So just shout out to him because this would not have been able to have been succeeded without him at all. Like my husband's a true supporter of all of my dreams. He's amazing, he's talented, and he's brilliant. And I just definitely want to make sure that I shout him out. But fast forward to what you were saying. I would love for it to be in schools. But girl, you know how public schools are? They are crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've said I hate to use let me not use that word 'cause I think that's ableist. So let's not say that. They are not right. They are extremely convoluted.
The
These
bureaucracy.
the people who are in charge, they make these decisions, and it is so much red tape, so much politics getting these books approved. And I know this firsthand because I wrote curriculum for, the county I worked for here in Maryland, and I've also, sat on, a board to approve, you know, um, what do they call it? Ancillary materials, you
Mhm.
know. So I know how things go, and I know how few of us there are sitting on these boards.
Yeah.
Even teachers, like you can barely find teachers, to sit on those boards also because they're so busy with the day to day of teaching. Who has the time to then come and sit on the board and think about approving text? So basically the task is left up to a lot of retirees, you know, and sometimes you have your stay at home moms that can have the ability to come in because these meetings take place during the school day. They take place during the day. So most parents are working, they're working. So when are they going to be able to come in, and sit and listen to the presentations and when you have discussions about these books as to whether or not you're going to approve them. So I would love for that to happen. But in the meantime, in between time, it is being used at a few private schools in Indiana, and it's also being used in several homeschooling co-ops around the country. I know in Oakland, also in Virginia, of course here in Maryland, and there's another place that's escaping me right now. So that's great, and I'm fine with that. And also, there's some like logistical things with the cost of it. Like I would really love to have it in bookstores, but bookstores often have like this no return policy, and because it's such a huge book, it's 470 plus pages. It's hardcover, and it's a textbook. It really is. And so the cost to me of someone returning it is just too high for me to be able to put it in bookstores. Because trust me, I don't want it on Amazon. I would rather it not be, especially with the beliefs that I hold. But right now, I'm kind of handcuffed to to that option because of those logistics, and I'm really like a teeny tiny small business, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely understood. I honestly think it would do great in Philadelphia. Like, there are probably a lot of charter. I know of like 5 or 6 schools where I'm like, this would kill. Because I think it has to do with like the ability for the district to like prioritize Black voices.
Yes.
And I feel like, not to like keep it on education too much, but School District Philadelphia, they just recently changed their high school curriculum
Mm.
to where majority of it is Black and brown writers. And it's like their curriculum's so good right now. I still get
Hey.
issues with their bureaucracy and their politics and stuff, but like when I read the textbook, I was like, I think I need to buy this and send it to my friend
Oh.
thing in the district, like, and just see how it goes, because I think it would do phenomenally well there.
Well, listen, we're going to talk after the show, and I have no problem with sending them a digital version. And then I offer a discount. So if you want, actually, don't buy it on Amazon. Y'all just contact me, and I give you all a 15. I think it's a 15% discount anyway. And if you buy
Mhm.
it through me, and I can, go to the print through the back door. You know how that goes. So
Yeah, yes.
yeah. Yes.
Like, when it comes to educate, and it's one of the reasons why I don't teach out here. um, or yeah, um, I love I love teaching in majority Black and brown spaces, like, and feeling like our voices are heard and centered. And so, like, oh, yeah, we can talk after this, but like, I really,
Right.
dang, I know a couple places this would
Thank you so
be.
much.
Um, let me try and get back on track here. Uh, we talked about the design. Oh, okay. So another question is like, in the future, do you see like lesson plans connected to it, or like workbooks? Or when I say my brain was going.
You know, I I started and stopped a workbook for this probably at least 3 or 4 times within the past 2 years. Um, and honestly, my brain has just I don't have the capacity for it right now. In fact, looking at the textbook, I'm amazed that we did it. I'm serious. Like I cannot believe we did it because my brain doesn't even work like that anymore. Plus I just had a baby. So my daughter just turned 1, so, like, I just went through another set of, like, pregnancy brain and postpartum, so I'm like, "How did my brain do that?" I can't believe it did it. So yeah, yes, the answer is yes, and I would have to have other people working with me, because myself, I did a lot. I would say probably about a good chunk of all of the actual curriculum stuff in there. And one of my sister friends, Helena Hartsfield, she's an awesome educator. She's out in Memphis, Tennessee. She was able to assist with a bit of it. And I definitely want to give her credit. But like, I would really need somebody to help. And my husband has already said that I'm never putting him through that again. So That means I would have to find a new designer, so I'm like, "Man, I don't know. This is just like, this is a lot," and he was like the backbone of this project. Like, I cannot tell you, like, those design decisions, those are his, because I didn't even know how to even, like, get it out of my brain and tell him how I wanted it to look. Girl, I was literally doodling on this little book, drawing pictures, like I don't know how. Again, I have no clue how he did it, but somehow he went into my brain and plucked it out, and he did a fantastic job. But I'm like, I can't do this without him. So I would have to revisit it. But I've had several people ask me, you know, is there a companion? Are there some lesson plans? And lesson plans wouldn't necessarily require a lot of design. That's just looking and through each entry and breaking it down, adding standards, etc. So maybe that is something that I will look into, and maybe I'll do another GoFundMe, another Indiegogo to raise money for that as well. So we'll definitely see. So I won't say no, but I will say I will need some help. Yeah, to move forward. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so like we talked about so much of this. I'm like, yes. Okay. Okay, so I know one of the I'm guessing one of the reasons why you're like, okay, we're not gonna focus on this now is because you are doing so much. You have a lot coming up in
Yeah.
like additional spaces.
Yes.
Like, can you
Yes.
tell us more about that? Cause
Yes. Yes. So basically, I jump around. There's some people who like only write speculative fiction. Like that's what they do. The end. But child, I love to write, so I write whatever you need me to write. Period. And I already told you I wrote poetry. So um, right now, next year I have my first official traditional release, and we are working on that now. Like I've seen the finished project. I'm just waiting on the seeing the color, all of the frames in color, spreads. Excuse me, they call them spreads in color. So I'm waiting on that, and that book is called A City Dream, and it's a picture book, and that's coming from HarperCollins next fall, so fall 2025. And that is a social justice picture book and it's dedicated to Baltimore City, which is where I live. And it's about a young girl who um, really wants to improve the state of her city. She sees all the things, that are wrong with the city, vacant houses, the trash, uh, water that has been contaminated, you know, and she wants to change it. And so she really takes it upon herself to talk about the changes that she would make in the city. And so right now, I'm actually working with a couple organizations, uh, Jami Leadership Incorporated. That particular organization, they do amazing work here in the city, and they are my my son is 7 years old. That's my son's homeschooling collective. And so what I've done with them is I've taken some footage and I'm asking them, the young children questions about the city, how they feel about the city, and I'm putting together like a short documentary um, just to accompany the um, the picture book, so that we can really see what young people want to see from the city. So that's the first thing. Um, then the next year is this huge, huge project, and that's gone through a lot of iterations because it's no longer going to be published by Algonquin because Algonquin was just absorbed maybe last month by Little Brown Books. So now that's going to be published by Little Brown Hachette, and that is Fangs, Feathers, and Folklore and Africa's mythological creatures. So it is a field guide of African mythological creatures. It's the first of its kind, full color, hardcover, and we have 49 creatures from all over Africa. as well as retellings, that I've discovered. I think we have 2 dozen retellings. If it's not 2 dozen, then it's close to 2 dozen retellings. But that's amazing. So that will be in 2026. And I believe also in 2026 is going to be Golden. That's my other picture book. And that's the story of Ya Santewa and the Golden Stool. So that'll be coming. That's another picture book. So I think that's coming in 2026. It may be pushed back. I'm not quite sure, because we're still working on, finding the illustrator for that particular project. But that's also from HarperCollins. So that's what I have coming, and of course I'm writing. I'm working on a novel in verse right now. Um, and you know, yeah, got a lot going on.
You are busy, but it's season.
Yeah, yeah. I try to keep busy to keep my mind off all these rejections, child. Girls, rejections becoming like a fighter, just boom, boom, boom. So the way I block them off is I just keep working on other things.
That's like the most frustrating part of like what I've heard so far from many writers and comic book writers and stuff is just like having to get used to constantly being rejected. And I'm like, I don't know, my heart can take that. So like y'all are strong.
It's a lot, but you know what else I do? I also I was a writer in residence last year for the Hurston Wright Foundation, and part of my residency was to create a database of Black children's books. And so I have now 43 children's books in the database. And I just added one just this morning, and that was The Gray, which issue one from Midnight Comics. And so, yes, and I know did you meet with them already last night?
That was last night.
Yep.
They're
See how things were. Look at that. So, I actually put that up on my website, and I'm gonna put that on my Instagram page, and I guess I'll go back to Threads and put it on Threads, whatever. And Facebook, I really don't wanna I don't feel like going back to Facebook, but I guess I will do that too. But yeah, I in the database, it doesn't only list, just the books. I also have links to purchase, and they can be found either on their own websites or Black owned bookstores, because I wanted to make sure that, this particular database drives traffic to Black owned bookstores. And I also include an extension activity for every single book in the database, and I also include what is it? Themes, like topics, as well as a study, a summary. And I also include, what do you call it? Age recommendations. Yes.
and that's all on your website, right? Because I remember
Yes.
seeing, yes, yes.
Sharise Writes is my website. Yes. So, yep.
That is phenomenal. I love that you're adding, like, you're still, even though you're not like teaching currently, there's still like, little nuggets that we keep. Like, that's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to talk about because I did see it in the textbook. It was an excerpt of um your indie work. So it was Dr. Marvelous's Gen Odd Scholars. That looked really, really good. Like, one, you put me on a deep dive to Black musicians, like early one morning. So I thank you for that. But like, that looked so cool. It looks like this amalgamation of like magic and Andre 3000's, like uh that cartoon, and then like Willy Wonka, kind of like it was just like this really cool amalgamation of it. And I'm like, please, like what was the inspiration behind that? Like, how did you get to that book?
Honestly, that began with my master's degree program. So, a master's degree program had this cool certificate option within it for writing for children and young adults. And so I had to write, not write, but take 5 additional courses just on writing for kids. And one of those was like a nonfiction writing class for kids. And of course, the final project was to come up with, an idea for a book, you know. And so that's when I came up with the idea for Fangs, Feathers, and Folklore. And so as I'm digging for information through Fangs, Feathers, and Folklore, I started to like think about all the things I loved as a child. And I loved amusement parks. And of course, I loved mythological creatures. And I also loved magic. And so I started to think, oh my gosh, magicians. Were there any black magicians? Girl, oh my gosh, I went down this rabbit hole and I found this amazing book just about black magicians during the 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s. And it's just a spin-off into all kinds of different books, and one of the magicians that I found was a magician named Black Herman. And Black Herman, his birth name was Benjamin Rucker. He was born in Virginia and he ended up pretty much settling in New York City. But one cool thing about him was he added like black nationalism to his magic acts. So he would sell these talismans to ward off racism.
Yeah.
Yes, and this was in the like 1920s, 19 teens, and he was like wildly successful. Like
Only imagine because of what was happening during that time. Like,
exactly, and he was a follower of Garvey, you
mm,
know. So like I found him, and then I also found this family of magicians called the Armstrongs, right? And the father, Dr. Well, he called himself Professor Armstrong.
mhm.
He was the son of a slave, right? His father was enslaved. And then his wife died in childbirth. And then he remarried. And then they had a daughter. Well, this was with the wife that passed on.
Mhm.
And they were traveling black magicians, a family of magicians. And so I found this little girl named Ellen Armstrong. And Ellen Armstrong performed mind reading. She was 6 years old doing mind reading in the crowd. And she was also a cartoonist and a comedian. And she ended up taking over her father's show. So after finding this information out, just really falling down these rabbit holes of research, that's how I came up with Dr. Marvelous Djinn. She's like a combination of Benjamin Rucker and Ellen Armstrong, uh, Black Herman and Ellen Armstrong. And then she has this theme park in Virginia that Marcus Garvey actually put up the money for. And the theme park is called the Motherland. And the entire theme park has an African motif. So like there's a pyramids of Giza there, there's a Mount Kilimanjaro roller coaster. There's a what else do we have? We have an obelisk, and it's like this haunted obelisk, kind of ride. And then, there's also this grand menagerie full of African mythological creatures that has this like, how you go to Six Flags or whatever and you get on the log flume or the water rides where you can just kind of ride around, on the water and actually explore these mythological creatures. So that was the idea behind Dr. Jinn's Odd Scholars. I wanted to um, really dedicate a, a a novel of historical fiction to a segregated amusement park based on Africa with a magician, black woman magician, who was also a black nationalist, and I just thought that that was really a cool idea. It takes place in 1920, and she has these competitions to find 4 lucky winners, 4 kids to be the first to tour the park, and they really unravel all of these secrets, and each of the kids is different and wonderful. One of the kids is an inventor, Brenda, and she's actually from Philly. And then another kid, Omen,
Right.
and also has Seminole roots. He's from Altamont Springs, which is where my father's family is from, and I have Seminole roots as well. And he is a strong man. So I actually looked up the history of Seminole and alligator wrestling. They have a huge cultural, significance down there to, those that particular group of people. And then Elliot is the inventor. He's from DC. And lastly is Claire. Claire is from South Carolina, and she's got basically the gift of sight. She is like a kind of like a psychic, foresight gift. So it was cool to write. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Hey, I know it's currently in bookshop.org because
Hmm.
that's where I'm really trying to get away from.
I know.
So, like, I know that it's at Mahogany Books, and I also
Mhm.
know it's at bookshop.org if anyone wants to check it out. I definitely will be in the future because, like,
Thank
it's
you.
like just that excerpt in the textbook alone. That excerpt is about Omen and him winning. I don't want to give too much away, but it's about that strongman contest.
Right.
Yes. Okay. This is interesting.
I love history. Wherever I can, I just insert it in my work all the time. And I actually have a picture book that's still on sub, and it's all about Ellen Armstrong. So, like, again, everything that I like take and learn about, I usually write about it. Somebody's got to pick up that book, girl. I'm just like, I can't believe that no one has picked that book up. It's been on sub now for a year, and I'm annoyed, but we'll see. We'll see.
Like she has, like I said, you sent me on a deep dive. She has a great story,
She
and
does.
yeah, like more people need to know about her. Just like the fact I didn't even fathom that black magicians existed.
Yep.
Like, so to know that you not only have black magicians, but you also have this black woman who is excelling in this at a time that so many other, like, you have so many more oppressive systems, impacting her. Like, we need that book. So,
We we do, and we need this history. Like, on TikTok for Black History Month, I just did, like, several days of just, little known Black history, and I covered a bunch of different Black magicians, and then I also covered, like, Black amusement parks, like the fact that people didn't even realize that Black-owned amusement parks existed as well, because it's segregation. So we had to build our own stuff. We couldn't go. We were not allowed in these carnivals. We were not allowed in these parks. So, you find Lincoln Electric Park, which is in Missouri. I believe it's in Kansas City.
oh,
And then you find Suburban Gardens is the blueprint for my Motherland amusement park in Dr. Jinn's Odd Scholars. Suburban Gardens was in DC, and like I worked in DC for 5 years. And I could not believe when I found out about it that I was literally driving or, when I took the train, passing this every day. This
oh,
stretch in Northeast DC that used to be Suburban Gardens. Crazy, you
yeah.
know? So that's just this little known history that we absolutely have to know, and that's my next frontier is really diving into writing some nonfiction, for young people because it doesn't make sense that we have, I don't know, 50 picture books about Martin Luther King. And I love King. I think King is dynamic. He's iconic, of course. But come on. There's
Yeah,
other people besides King and Rosa Parks.
that would be really interesting to like have a book that does like I guess travel the country with its history because I didn't even think about that until you said it. That yeah, there would be
Mhm.
amusement parks for us. There would be whatever mainstream is. There's always something else for everyone else, and we don't necessarily think about that constantly. Like, it's not something we immediately think to. And that would be very interesting because I used to be that kid. Like, I'm from New York, so like Coney Island was my spot. So like
Yes.
to know about all these other places would be so yes.
Yep. Even, Elijah McCoy is credited with really improving upon and inventing the machinery necessary for the roller coaster. That's Elijah McCoy, and I believe that was debuted at Coney Island. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna have to go back and, in my brain. It's in the recesses of my brain, so I kind of trust my brain. Was it Elijah McCoy or was it Granville T. Woods? Uh-oh. All right, B. Sharise. Let's giving people false information. See, this was spoken for. Let me not
Uh,
be telling people wrong because I want to say it was Granville T. Woods, and I am not T. Woods roller coaster. Here we go.
that was
Yes,
like
yes.
about like
Granville T. Woods introduced the figure eight at Coney Island, the world's first electric roller coaster in 1892.
mm,
Yep,
that's that is dope. That is so dope.
yep.
Man, I couldn't have been. I'm sorry. Like, I'm thinking about Coney Island. Like, I don't remember the figure eight. I remember the cyclone and being incredibly scared on it. They shut. No, because like the cyclone is. It was loud and rickety, and you could just tell it was old. And for some reason,
Yes,
they let us on it at our. So
right.
that would be so cool to like learn about that, or like any other like type of entertainment spots that were just for us. Like
Yep, yep.
I hope you do that because that sounds amazing.
Girl, I want to do all of it. Like, I love pop up books. Like, especially when my son was younger, and I can't wait for my daughter to get a little bit older. Those pop-up books were everything. He loved them, and I loved them as a child, and I want to develop pop-up books for Black history, like pop-up books that actually show you the inner workings of a gas mask. You know what I mean? The inner
Oh,
workings of a traffic light. And I want to write the text. Like, these are things that I really want to do, you know. And I've told my agent, and she's just like, with publishing, you just have to wait. Like, people will not take a chance on you unless they believe you can sell books. So all of this stuff, like all of my ideas are put on hold. I'm probably telling people too much, but whatever. Then I'm one of those people that I don't care. People like, you work in silence and all that. That's probably my problem. I talk too much. But you
good.
know, it is what it is. I found so much amazing history, and it's like there are ways for us to actually make this even more interactive, And that's what I love because so many of our students, our children are, bodily kinesthetic learners. Like making books where they can interact is really important. So
Yeah.
why not, even if we're going to have, I can even see a book in the shape of like a shoe because Jan E. Metzlinger created the shoe last. Open up the book, the shoe. We can see the different parts of the shoe. We can see how we can have a biography of him in the front. We can have some old pictures. We can actually have, I don't know, maybe a kit that comes with it where children can try to create a shoe or have directions. I don't know, but just that's what I want to do. I'm a writer and I really, really want to write. I don't want to teach, which is why I'm not teaching anymore. And girl, whenever people ask me to teach, I run. Like, no, I'm done. I don't ever want to teach again. However, developing materials for you to teach, there we go.
That's dope. Oh man. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna say we're not talking a lot about it. We're manifesting. We're gonna make sure that it happens. We're gonna make sure that it.
right, right.
All right. This has been all right. Okay. I do have two more questions.
Okay.
Okay. So and these are two things that I always ask everybody. Um, what are you currently reading, watching, crafting?
Currently reading 2 books, The Dividing Sky by Jill Chu.
Okay.
This is an advanced reader's copy. It
Mhm.
is a sci-fi dystopian romance.
Ooh.
Awesome, I'm only 30 pages away from being finished. Shout out to Jill. Girl, amazing book. And it takes place in a futuristic dystopian Boston.
Mm.
So, yes,
Okay.
The Dividing Sky, Jill Tew, Tew. Um, and again, really, really like it. And this is YA. I am also reading um Parable of the Sower. So just like everybody else started on July 20th,
Yep.
started on July 20th as well. So I'm rereading Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, of course. It's chilling. And it's funny because both are kind of like dystopian books. And I'm just looking at this and they both talk about control and, the economy and climate. It's really, really good. I mean, both of them are really, really good. And then reading them both at this time right now has been something else. Um, what else am I watching? What am I watching? Girl, I'm watching a whole bunch of politics. Honestly, I'm watching a lot of I watch Mark Lamont Hill. Um, I watch him a lot. And I also watch what else do I watch a little bit of everything. Um, Black Liberation Media. They have a YouTube channel that I watch. Um, honestly, you're gonna laugh, but I watch Judging Freedom with Judge Napolitano. It used to be a Fox News conservative Republican, but is now like has these really interesting and on point leftist, philosophies on foreign policy that are really great to take in. And I'm also watching The Gray Zone, which is another independent news and breakthrough news. So I'm watching a lot of independent news. I'm becoming really a lot more politically aware, more than I ever have been, and it's bleeding into my entire life. You know, just because I won't say adopted because this is where I've always been, but I'm really like an anti-establishment, anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist, anti-genocide, no matter who's steering the ship.
Yeah.
Kind of person, and so because of this, like I'm joining organizations that are actually like doing the work in the community, and yeah, just making sure I'm arming myself with enough knowledge so that I don't contribute to the machine any more than I absolutely have to, because that is my goal. My goal is to just make sure that I'm trying not to, that I'm feeding the machine in the least ways possible, because obviously we live in a capitalist country. We have to live. There are things that we have to do. But since I'm aware, I am trying to really pinpoint ways that I can sacrifice so that we can have liberation for all people.
I
Yeah.
love that because going back to your threads, like that's something that I've been having to do as well. Like earlier this summer, I completely like divested from Amazon. I'm like, okay, I
Mhm.
can't do this anymore. This is causing issues. This is causing when like
Right.
one, the amount of research it takes to make sure you're not impacting and harming other people in society. It for lack of better word, like it just sends you on a mind
It does. It does.
constant, like just knowing, like, dang, almost every facet of my life is being impacted by empire and systems, but also it is also impacting others. And to figure that out and then like still try to live a life that you can like actually function in, it's it's doable. It's really hard.
It
Uh,
is so hard. It is so hard. But you know what? Um, you know what helps? Just being in community with other people who have the same objectives.
yes.
And again, I'm so excited because I'm very new to this particular organization, and orientation is next week, so I don't even want to talk about that because I know I probably there's some stuff I shouldn't even be saying. But you know, I'm so excited with the work that they do. You know, it's Black August, so they have, you know, a book drive coming up specifically supporting freedom fighters and political prisoners, you know. Um, I have a very good friend of mine who is Palestinian. She is the daughter of Palestinian refugees, and just listening to her has made such a difference in my life. You know, knowing the commitment that she has to the cause of the Palestinian people, listening to the stories she's told me as, you know, they have really changed me, you know, which is why just like the ancestors that I revere, you know, Huey P. Newton, Brother Malcolm, El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, you know, Nelson Mandela, Fred Hampton. These were individuals who believed in the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination. And that is who I look to for guidance, you know. And we have to, I won't say, I can only speak for myself, but I believe that the answers to our issues is globalism. We have to see each other's value. We have to see the value of everyone.
Yes.
So, you know, and I think once we continue to develop those ideals and strengthen those ties and learn more about each other, then I think that we will begin to see a path through, you know. So but I'm so grateful to have that connection with a beer. She's a fellow educator. She actually has an educational development company. She develops educational materials. She's very committed, you know, to the cause of Black people as well. And she's fantastic. And her organization is called Altair, Altair Education, you know, and she's awesome. So so yeah, you know, I'm feeling good at just about a little bit of everything. The stuff that I'm watching, it enrages me, but I do have hope. You know, I do have a ton of hope, and I think that we can see this through. But we're going to have to lean on each other more than ever.
Very much so. Like you said, I've been watching. I force myself, and I have to say force because, like, not in a bad way necessarily, but just like to have that constant reminder that there are things happening outside of my immediate circle, and
Hmm.
I have to constantly be plugged in. So, like, I force myself. I block off an hour, and I'm just watching all of the news. I start with um why am I forgetting the name right now? But I do watch Breakthrough News. I start with
Savvy,
what is the name? Huh?
not savvy.
No, 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 no. Democracy Now. I start
Okay,
there, then going to Al Jazeera. Then I got like just the
right, right, right.
just having to constantly plug myself in and be reminded of that. Like me and my husband actually just recently had the conversation because we've been so isolated out here in the sticks. We're like, all right, we're in a good place and we are realizing that there are a lot of issues and in the process of divesting we're like all right we have to connect ourselves to people now
Right.
because like you said community is very important so now we're like in this process of finding organizations finding groups finding people who are like-minded and we can at least like contribute some good some positivity some work to, all of just any and everything possible that we can. So like it's been a wonderful summer. of growth.
Very eventful, extremely eventful.
Um, I guess now I'll ask that one afterwards because that's more like I guess my last question is what is your definition of rest? And do you practice it? And before you answer, I always ask this because I believe just being in this capitalist society, being black in this capitalist society, and like so many people believing in black excellence and how we need to give so much of ourselves, like rest is, for some reason, rest is revolutionary. And wanting to know if what your definition of that is, and if you do practice it, or if you're in the process of practicing it.
It has been very hard, you know. Again, I have a 1-year-old, so rest.
Yeah.
I don't get a lot of it. However, um, so there's this star that I absolutely love. It's Lucky Day. I love Lucky Day. And so I've loved it for years. I'm a day one Lucky Day. Lucky Day, if you hear this, I'm in your day one. But his day ones are the people that have been on him since the beginning. But anyway, so I heard he was having a tour. This was back in May, right before his album dropped in June. And I was probably like the first one that bought a ticket. I'm being seriously, like they want to stay on at midnight. I bought my ticket at 12:01. And I didn't care because I was like, the last time he was on tour, I missed him. And I said I was going to do that again. And even, you know, talking to my husband, since we've had children, we had not been out without the children in 7 years. And I was like, oh my God, we haven't been out in 7 years, because the way things happened, it was crazy. Like, we got married in 2015. I got pregnant in 2016, 6 months later. We bought a house. The day I found out I was pregnant, the day we closed. We bought a house. Then we had a baby, like, 7 months later. And then, like, just adjusting to all of that, it was just a lot. And of course, we're parents to a young child, so we're not really, trying to leave him anywhere. And actually, you know what? 6 months, when he was 7 months, we left him with my mom to go to a party, and we had to come back early because my mom called me because he wouldn't stop crying. So I don't even think that counted. That was like 2 hours. So anyway, this past weekend was a Lucky Day concert, and like I put my foot down and I made my husband go, and we had the best time. So
Yeah.
even though that maybe that's not rest, but
No,
it
that's fair.
was such a relaxing time for us. I danced and I sang the whole time. You know, um, it was smooth, there was no drama, no violence. We just had such a beautiful night. This was just this past Saturday night. So for me, really, rest is really just the opportunity to breathe. I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't thinking about rejections or deadlines. Uh, you know, I wasn't on social media at all that entire day, I don't think. Really, that whole day. We were able to leave it, we had a tremendous storm that day. There was power lines down. It was crazy. But, we navigated, we got there. We still got there like 2 hours before the concert. Like, and I am late, child. I'm always late. So, like, this is amazing. I'm not rushing. Everything is cool. I'm not worried if I'm gonna miss stuff. Like, it was just great. We were able to eat, take the food back to the car, put it in the car, then go back, to the concert. Like, it was just awesome. So for me, rest is just the act of enjoying the moment and being present. And I'm almost never able to just be present.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are we having for dinner? Okay, got to get the kids out. Whose hair needs to be washed? The baby need to be changed. Okay, gotta sweep the floor, gotta do the laundry. It's always, being a mom is crazy. It's ridiculous. It's so much. It's so much. But that was rest. for me.
That's beautiful. though. I'm happy that you got to do that.
And
Oh,
it was such a brilliant concert. He sounded great. It was just a wonderful time. Loved it.
all right, so now I need to look into Lucky Day because
Yeah. Yeah, Lucky is cool,
I
man.
like and we like this past summer we finally like we found this vinyl record shop that I love.
Mm.
I can't go there but once a month, and I can only go there with cash because dangerous.
Right. Right.
So like we were able to like finally add to our vinyl collection, and we've just been like exploring music all summer. So like
Oh, that's
yeah,
wonderful. Yes.
gotta check that out. Yes.
Yes. And he's got like a rock sound. This new album, The Algorithm. Of course, it's still R&B, but it has more of a funk rock fusion to it, and it's really fresh. And I really enjoy the album a lot. Oh, yeah.
I like that. I like that. All right. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here. This is
Thank you.
amazing. You are amazing. And
Oh, so
I
are you.
oh thank you. But before we go and I like sign everybody out, everyone can find you at Be Sharice, right?
Yes.
Um and then Be Sharice on all socials.
Yeah, when I'm there. It's gonna be b.Sharise Instagram, b.Sharise Threads, and I think b.Sharise TikTok. No, I haven't been on TikTok in a while, but you'll find some cool videos that I did during Black History Month about, some of the things we talked about. So you could check out my TikTok page too. But I'm not active there much. And I'm on Twitter, but I don't think I've posted on Twitter in like 6 months. Like it's been
um
forever. I kind of
I left. I couldn't.
yeah.
It, it's a refuse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So don't even worry about Twitter. But the rest of them, I guess I'll come back, and I'll definitely come back to post this video. So there we go.
Alright. Well, like I said, this has been amazing. I wish you nothing but success and
You,
peace
thank
and
you.
rest, and I hope you get to go to another concert.
Me too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Keisha.